Losing is what got us here. None of us feel good about it. This is, where we are. You are what your record is. You are what has happened, recently. But things can change quickly. Once we.
Tony, what's popping, my brother? We back on the Losers Lounge, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I feel like Mace. We're back in business, baby. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long summer.
Yes, sir.
Been a long summer, but we got our first win last night. Last night, right? Yeah, last night versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. And so now the Cleveland Cavaliers are on the first Losers Lounge of the season, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? So we're gonna have some fun
We,
with
we
it.
had we had to bring it to them, man. You know what I mean? Get a
Had
big
to,
win.
had to bring it to them. You know what I'm saying? That's our rival this year. That's the team. Listen, they beat us 4 times in the regular season last year, right? Was it 4 times? Yeah, they beat us 4-0 in the regular season.
Mhm.
Now, we didn't play them in the playoffs, but it's no way that we were allowing them to do that to us this year. You know what I mean? And listen, we're two teams that are fighting for a championship. There's a little bit of connection between the two teams because of Donovan Mitchell, right? We all know that Donovan Mitchell was supposed to be a New York Knick. He's supposed to be playing beside Jalen Brunson, but obviously that didn't come to fruition. So now it's a rivalry.
That's right.
A small one, but it's a rivalry. You know what I mean? And
Mhm. And you could argue the Brunson Donovan rivalry is bigger than the actual Knicks Cav rivalry, right? Or it started, you know what I mean? Like it started out west with
started
those
out
two
west.
guys anyway.
Yeah, that's the truth. It started out west, and to put it bluntly, Donovan Mitchell really hasn't been able to beat out Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? Throughout their rivalry, it's been, Jalen Brunson has been the winner throughout their rivalry so far. You know what I mean? And let's hope that it stays that way. With that being said, I will say I do believe that Donovan Mitchell is in for a monster year. You know what I mean? It's just it just seems like it's that time of his career for him to like play out of his mind basketball. And not that he hasn't played out of his mind basketball, but for him to play out of his mind basketball, on another level. And he might need to do that to prove that he can get to the NBA finals. How do you feel about Donovan Mitchell and what you at least what you saw last night and what his season might look like?
Well, first off, last night and his play against the Knicks since he's kind of been with the Cavs, he never really seems to have a great game against us, but he always does what he did last night. It has a great quarter that ends up making it like a regular Donovan Mitchell game, 30 points, whatever. You know what I mean? But it's scary that like if he ever has a four quarters of, you know what I mean, like the way he performs every time in one quarter against us, it's gonna be scary. It's gonna be scary. I think he's caught in a I think it's I don't know. Some people say Mobley has to elevate to be the best player on that team for the Cavs to kind of reach their potential.
Mm-hmm.
Um that means I guess he would have to surpass Donovan Mitchell. And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Me either.
So I think his plate is full. Garland, on the other hand, though, I think Garland had his best year last year. and became an adequate number two behind Mitchell. You know what I mean? Or a duo, a great duo with Mitchell.
with me, right?
Um, so it's still, I think it still holds true for them to be their best. I think Mobley has to advance faster than I think he's going to.
Mhm. Do you think, because when Darius Garland didn't play last night, right?
Mm-mm.
Or whatever night it was, Tuesday night. Do you think that um or Wednesday night? I'm tripping.
Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday night. But do you think that they are going to be plagued with injuries? And that's going to be what stops them from winning a championship. Donovan Mitchell's had injuries, of course. Darius Garland seems to always be out with injuries. You think that's going to be kind of like the hallmark of this team?
I mean, I don't wish that on anybody, so I'll say I hope not. Um, but I think just like anybody else, just like us, you know what I mean? Like it's really about just trying to be healthy by the end of the year. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Makes sense.
but you know what I mean? Like, I think I wouldn't necessarily consider Mitchell injury prone. You know what I mean? Like he missed his time during the year, but I think he shows up in the playoffs and
Mm,
he plays through it in the playoffs as well, which was
yes.
I
Yeah.
think something that happened with Garland where some people was skeptical or not skeptical, but maybe not understanding the severity of turf toe, like wanting him to play through it. And I think he tried that last game, and you know what I mean.
Eh,
It's hard to
Let me tell you
perform, but
something. For those who say play through turf toe, I'm gonna say maybe you've never played sports. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, you have pain in the very limb that you've got to use to play your sport, right? I mean, you got to use your toes and your feet to play, and if you're in pain in that area, you're not going to be effective. You're not going to be able to play. You know, I never really understood the argument. Play through it. It's just a toe. That doesn't make sense to me. Something like turf toe, a jammed finger can do some damage. You know what I mean? Like those things that you know, those things affect you, and you would much rather have them heal now than try to force it. You know what I mean? But let's get into some comments. All right, get that going. Shout out to everybody that's here. Feel free to give us a call, 516-362-5. I said it too fast. 516-362-5212. All right, give us a call. Want to know what you think about the game and all of that. Everything. You know what I'm saying? Want to talk to you. All right, so let's get to our first comment. Let me see which one am I going to pick first. Talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. All right, this is the Losers Lounge. For anyone that's new, it's the Losers Lounge. And on the Losers Lounge, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about the opposing team, the team that we just beat, and how their fans feel about them.
and us.
And us. And us. All right. So, Feeball 13 said the same soft team as last year. And that's been, and we see it, I see it in the chat right now. Somebody, JW said, Cavs are too soft as well as injury prone. You agree with that? Cavs are too soft to win it?
You know who you know who I feel like is the soft one? Garrett Allen.
Hmm.
I think he's I wouldn't put Mobley in that category. You know what I mean? I wouldn't put Garland, as much as people say Garland is. I wouldn't put Mitchell in that. After what Mitchell Robinson did to him, I don't think he's ever been the same.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
So
Um,
I think he's the soft one and he's supposed to be the defensive anchor. You know what I mean?
right.
He's talented.
What is it about him that makes him soft? I mean,
Um, he's 7 foot, but he doesn't play strong.
yeah, okay.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like he's long and you know what I mean. Like he'll dunk it on you and all that, but he does like he could get moved around. He could get taken out the game.
Hmm.
Like I don't think he maximizes his talent.
Okay. Okay. Blue Hefner said Garland is soft. He doesn't play through any injuries. I mean, that's the argument that we were just getting, right? That he's,
Mhm.
doesn't play through turf toe, da da da. I wouldn't play through turf toe either. I wouldn't play through. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Blue Hefner, but you need your toes, man, to play
Well,
sports. I'm a big advocate in taking care of your feet, and it's nothing freaky. Just take care of your feet because you got to walk on them.
hey,
You know?
wasn't there a football player that cut his toe off so he could play?
There was, there was,
I know.
there
I
was.
know. I heard that.
I don't remember
So
who,
that's
but there was.
that's what they want. They wanted to cut
That's wild
cut that
business.
toe
Man.
off,
That's wild
man.
business. That's crazy. I ain't doing that. I don't care. I ain't. That's wild business. Cut your toe off and play. You got 4 more. You got 9 more. You got 9 more toes. You don't need that one. That's crazy. It's crazy business. You know what I'm saying? I understand the love for the game, but come on, man.
There's
Come
life after the game.
Yeah. There's life after the game. You know what I mean? And when you turn 40, you know what I'm saying, and you take off your sock and you only got 9 toes, you're gonna be like, damn, I got enough money. Maybe I can get a mechanical toe. Something
Hey,
like
is it if you cut your toe off but you win the championship, is it worth it?
maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, if I have enough money to get another toe stitched back on, maybe it's worth it. That's crazy business. Shez V said Ronnie Lott cut his finger in the game to stay in it for the night. I remember that. I remember that. I don't know, man. I don't know if that could be me. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it could be me. I couldn't do it. That's crazy. Let's see what else we got up here, man. Rubber City 69 said it's game 1, but they can't get consistent stops at all. Shake my head. Um, they did not get consistent stops. You know what I mean? And did the Knicks get consistent stops? I don't know, but of course they're worried about the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're not really a good defensive team. I don't know if I expect them to be or not, but they're not really a good defensive team. And that could be the thing that stops them from getting to that next level.
Mobley got defensive player of the year last year though, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? But he needs like I liken him honestly to OG. You know what I mean? He's a little taller. You know what I mean? Maybe blocks a little bit more shots, but he also is better when that anchor is anchoring, and he
Yeah.
could roam. You know what I mean? Like, and he could roam and be the help defender. That's
Yeah.
when I think he's at his best. But when you want him as the primary, I
Mm-hmm.
think it looks a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
he couldn't stop Brunson last night, and I seen him on Brunson a couple times, quite a few times. Um, yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think
And the Hunter helps. I ain't gonna lie. Like
Oh yeah,
him not
oh
being
yeah,
there
not being there
affects them defensively as a
for sure,
team, and you know what I mean, puts more burden on Mobley, puts more burden on Allen. So I think that's a big missing piece when you talk about them defensively.
for sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and Kenny Atkins is a good coach. I'm sure he'll figure out some schemes that works for this team. You know what I mean? And like any team, it takes time to figure it out. Every year is a new year, so you can't just base everything on the previous year, right? Every year is a new year. So um, Kenny Atkins is a good coach. Cleveland is going to be there, right there along with us. You know what I mean? There's no doubt in my mind that they'll be there. I mean, you look at last night. They kept, they stayed in the game. Run after run after run after run. They stayed in the game. We just had enough to hold them off. You know what I mean? And we couldn't do that with this team last year, but we did this year. So let me see what else do we have up here. Of course, they're worried about injuries. Donovan Mitchell hurt already. That's Lob City Cavs. But like you said, Donovan Mitchell is going to be there. No doubt
I
in my
feel
mind.
that way about Mitchell too, but
About Mitchell,
I ain't gonna.
about our Mitchell, Mitchell Robinson. I feel that way about him too, man. Like, damn, it's the beginning. Load management. First game of the season, load management. What's that mean for the rest of the season? You know what I mean? I guess we could talk some more about that a little bit later, but I'm like, damn, like already? What are we doing? What are we doing? The Public Enemy said I was on a Cavs podcast and they blame Allen for the loss. Knicks fans, let's keep it a buck. If Garland was playing, the Knicks would have lost. Spider cooked us. How can you say that? How do you know? What do you think
I
about that
mean,
comment? What do you think about what the Public Enemy just said? If Garland was playing, we would have lost. What do you think?
I mean, they would have had a better shot for sure, but we were missing Mitch, right? So you know what I mean. That I think that changes things defensively for
Exactly.
us,
Exactly.
and I think we played a good defensive game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we were missing Josh Hart. You know what I mean? Like, so they was
Mm-hmm.
missing two guys. We were missing two guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to play the guys that's in front of you, and we got to play the guys that's available. So
Yeah.
yeah, we won, and
Yeah.
Spider cooked us in the third quarter for sure. But he had what 8 at halftime, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we overcame Spider cooking us.
Right.
If Garland was here, who's to say Spider has that third quarter?
Exactly. Exactly. He may not have that third quarter. You know what I'm saying? For real. He may not have had that third quarter. I mean, obviously, it gives him a better chance. He's an all-star level player, you know. But we were missing Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart. Not to say that they are all-star level players, but they mean a lot to this basketball team. They add to the depth of this basketball team. We already dominated the glass. With Mitch, we might have dominated it even more.
And with Josh Hart, those are two of our
And
three best rebounders.
yeah, exactly. Two of our three best rebounders weren't in the game, and we out-rebounded them by a lot. So I don't know about that one. Let's get to another one. Unctivities. I like the name, Unctivities. So one, the Knicks want this game much more than we do. So this must have been around halftime that this comment came out. They got embarrassed 4 times last year. And 2, it's about process over wins early on. Great things from Mobley so far. Okay, so a level-headed person. Did do you think we as the Knicks did we want it more than them?
I think so.
Okay.
I think
I
so. I
mean,
mean, we just
did
spoke
we want
about
it?
us not getting a game last
We
year.
did. We did. Right.
Definitely makes us say, all right, let's get the first one, right? You know what I
Right.
mean? Get that out the way.
It makes sense. Makes sense. You know, I mean, you would think that Cleveland would want it too, but um, want it, as bad as the Knicks, just because they know that the Knicks are right up there at the top of the Eastern Conference with them as far as being championship contenders. So you would think they'd be like, okay, we got to step in and show them right from the beginning that we are this, that, and the third, the top team, whatever you want to say. You know what I mean? But maybe the Knicks had a
And
little bit more oomph.
what what'd you see from Mobley in that game? Because me personally, I was actually watching him closely because I feel I keep hearing how he has to be they want number one guy for them to be their best version. And I think part of the Cavs like feel that way.
Hmm.
But the biggest thing that I seen from him in that game was his three. His three looked good. You know what I mean? But when it came down to actually being the ISO guy,
Hmm.
I don't think he's ready yet. I don't think he's ready yet. Like not consistently. Like yeah,
Right.
he could get some ISO plays throughout the game, but to be that guy that you give the ball to when it's time to go get a bucket, like when
Right.
you need a bucket,
Right.
I don't think he's I think he's far from that. But yeah,
Can
if
he
I'm
even
the
become
Cavs
that on
and I'm
this
a
team?
Cavs fan, slow progression is okay for me. Him hitting that three changes a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think he did that last night,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Can that even how difficult will it be for him to become that to develop that skill set on this basketball team? With Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, with guys like that on the team, you know, you don't get as many chances to create on your own.
And that's why I don't think they should force it. I think what they did last year is similar to what we're doing and what we're gonna do this year is I think Donovan sacrificed a lot last year. Um I think Garland sacrificed a lot and it was more of a shared offense. And I think if they continue that, he can
Mhm.
naturally grow
Mhm.
with the extra possessions of or isolation possessions throughout the game throughout the year. You know what I mean? But it felt like to me they was going to him like, "Yo, we need a bucket," and to me that's why Donovan had the third quarter that he had because the first half it didn't look like Donovan was the guy. You know what I mean? It looked like he was trying to let Mobley be that guy. Let
Right.
him, you know
Right.
what I mean, get his opportunity. And third quarter, it looked like Donovan was like, now I
Right.
want to win, and
Yeah.
I know how to win. I know how, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna get us back. And so that was how I observed it. But
Okay.
what did you see from Mobley, and what do you think about him, the pecking order in on that team?
I mean, I think he's definitely third in the pecking order. There's no doubt about it. And he's got to develop that game. I don't think he has that type of one-on-one game. I think you can give. I mean, I think he got the first bucket of the game last night, right?
Hmm.
Nice post move, but he went back to it a couple of times and it was no. You know, I do think you got to try to work it, get him comfortable, give him confidence. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, it becomes another threat. You know what I'm saying? But when the game's on the line, you're going to Don. You're going to Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland, and he's going to get whatever's left over. when that point in time comes. Maybe in a couple of years he's one of those guys, but he's got some time to
And,
grow.
and who's to say? Who's to say? You know what I mean? Like maybe he does mature into that faster, and maybe it was the matchup, right? Maybe it was OG guarding him that made it more difficult than what I mean. Who's defending him next game, or what I mean, on other teams. So it could just be that too. You know what I mean. But that
Yeah.
to me, if he hits that three, the way he was hitting that three, and that could become a consistent. I think that's more logical of that becoming consistent in his offense and opening up a lot more for him than
Right.
putting him in ISO saying, "Go get me a bucket. We down two," or you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think he's there yet.
Yeah. What do you think about the second part of this comment? It's about process of wins early on. Great things for Mobley so far. So in talking about, you said you think early on, Donovan Mitchell, they were trying to feed Mobley, trying to, let him do some one-on-one things. Maybe that's part of the process early. We heard something similar from Mike Brown, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think I've seen that from Mike Brown in this game when Donovan Mitchell did his thing in the third quarter and they came back and took the lead. He didn't panic and said, "Let me get Brunson and let me get my guys in there." He stuck with the lineup that was out there, let them play through it, let them figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And that's sticking to the process right there.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that comment?
I mean, I think it fits. It's fitting, and yeah, I agree that it did look like that's what they were trying to. You know what I mean? They was trying to sort some things out in that first half. Go with the flow, and then, like I said, third quarter, Donovan was like, "All right."
Yeah. All right. You had a chance. You had a chance to get some buckets. Do what you
And you
now.
and you played well, and you played well, but
Yeah,
we
and
down 15 right now.
right. So you're playing well ain't good enough.
And to your point with Mike Brown, he did let them play through it, but we also were playing with a lead, which you know what I mean. Like
which changes things.
it's a lot easier to kind of pace yourself and not jump the gun in your rotations or whatever when you playing with a lead, even if it's dwindling. You know what I mean? Like
that's the truth. It's the God's honest truth. That's the truth. So we're starting this already. New York refs, pathetic, man. Refs. We're starting this already. First game of the season. Already talking about, and we're gonna hear this a lot because the Knicks are gonna be a very good basketball team, right?
and get into the line. I think that's
they're
gonna
get
be
to the line. Right. They're gonna get to the line. So we're gonna hear a lot about the refs and the Knicks this season. You know what I mean? So the Cleveland Cavaliers fans are the first ones, are the ones to kick it off. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure we're going to hear it from them the next time we play. And even if it's in Cleveland, we're going to hear it from them. We're seeing this already. Brunson is such a foul merchant. It's so pathetic. The season just started. Now, I can't lie. You know what I'm saying? Brunson does do some things with his body and, throw his head back to try to make the referees, but that's everybody in the league. It's everybody in the league. It's nothing new.
What I'll say is you're right. You're right about the throwing the head back, but was he fouled?
I mean, yeah, but sometimes he throws it back when he's not fouled. I've seen clips where he gets a little bump and he's like, doing those things. But what do that's the NBA today. That's what guys do. Brunson had a quiet 23 points last night. When I seen the score, when I seen his box score at the end of the game, I was surprised that he had 23. And we might see that a lot this year.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the style of scoring that he's going to have, it's not going to be him pounding the ball, and he has it's going to be a lot of off ball shots. You know what I mean? The first shot of the game that he made, I think, was telling about
Mm.
how the offense is going to go for him this year. And if he's consistently able to knock down those type of shots, he's going to get a lot of easy shots.
Yeah, and he missed.
Yeah,
He actually missed a couple of bunnies and a couple of
he did.
open shots that I think will fall.
Yeah.
And I felt like not only I thought OG's 24 was quiet too, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I gave McBride my player of the game, because I
Mhm.
thought his 12 or 15 was loud. And I was like, dang, I didn't know OG had 24. Oh, I didn't know Brunson had
Right.
23. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, it I like that it's not, you know what I mean? It's a quiet 23. It's a quiet
Yeah.
24.
Yeah. This is a great question right here from D Public Enemy. He said, D Wade and Harden made a career at the free throw line. Why do people hate Jalen Brunson for doing it? I don't understand it.
What
Why?
I will say this though, I think they hated Harden as well. I think he got a lot of flack for that as well. I didn't
Mhm.
hear that so much about D Wade. Like, I agree he made a living at the line, but I didn't hear many people complain about
I agree.
Wade.
People
Harden
did
they
complain about
complained
Harden.
about though.
You know why I think maybe, if you look at Harden and you look at Brunson, like Wade played in the air. He played with speed, right?
And strength.
And strength. And so people were like, well, how do you stop a guy like that? You're gonna foul him. But Brunson and Harden, they play with more
They,
craftiness.
and Harden more than Brunson, but they both manipulate the rules.
They
And I
manipulate
think
it. Yeah.
Harden, that was the big complaint. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, he was finding the loopholes.
Right. Right. And they do little things. I mean, I seen Brunson, got the guy's arm hooked and grab it and punch himself in the face with the dude's arm and then, scream to the refs and the foul gets called. Uh, I mean, but those are all little craftsmanship of the game. You know what I mean? Craftsmanship of the game. So, I mean, it is what it is. If he's on your team, you love it. If he's not on your team, you hate it. So I have no let him do what he does. I mean, the referees will figure out if it's too much. If the referees think something is too much, they'll start either not calling it or calling it or whatever they're gonna do. You know what I mean?
And what I'll say to the Cleveland fans, uh be less concerned with how many free throws y'all got and just make the ones y'all got. How about that?
There you go. Make the ones you got. Nostalgic Nick said Brunson doesn't get calls. I don't know about that. I think he definitely gets calls. You know,
Yeah, I think Cat don't get calls.
Cat don't get calls. I can agree with that. Cat don't get calls. But Brunson definitely, he gets calls. What kind of year you think JB's gonna have this year?
I was nervous at first. You know what I mean? Like, how's he gonna find his way, fit in, and how many changes will it be in this new offense with
Mhm.
Mike Brown? I've come to the conclusion he's gonna figure it out, and he's gonna be the same Brunson we see. Like, he might even be better, but you know what I mean. Like, if he really starts to figure out the speed part of the offense, and because you can see he's making quicker decisions than he's ever done. You know what I mean? In a Knicks uniform, you know what I mean? Like, so now it's about, can he be efficient at that speed? You know what I mean? With those less dribbles, I think he will be over time. You know what I mean? Like, because again, he missed a couple of bunnies at the rim that he normally makes,
Right.
and he missed a couple of open shots think he was 5 for 18, right? That's got to be like under 30, around 30%. You know what I mean? I think he'll be fine in the long haul once he starts to really grasp the speed and the efficiency at that speed.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll get it. You know, Brunson's been a sponge ever since he's been with the Knicks and figuring out, you know, how to get what he wants. Even when, you know, there will be times we would see headlines all the time. Has the NBA figured out Jalen Brunson and this, that, and the third? And every time the answer is no. You know what I mean? Because he figures out what he needs to do. It's just that type of guy.
No, I'm actually more concerned with Cat at this point. Um, because I don't. He's made some comments of he's unsure of his, you know what I mean, his role, and you know, having to learn the 4 and 5, and the 4 gotta know the 1, 2, 3, and 4. So basically he gotta know every position, and so I think
Mhm.
ultimately he should get the same shot attempts. You know what I mean? Like in this new offense.
Mhm.
But I
You know what?
think last year he kind of fit in just going where he's accustomed to. And I think
Right.
now he's gonna have to do a little bit more things, but he's still, you know, you do those things, you'll get those shots. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, he had his 23 points, 23 and 12 last night or whatever it was. Um, I'm a little. Sometimes I'm concerned about the three selection, and now that you know, Mike Brown wants us to shoot more threes and quicker. You know, sometimes I worry about Cat if he is he going to throw up some things that you know maybe you don't want him to. You know, hopefully, you know, maybe early in the season he does, but then later on in the season he kind of understands where he's supposed to get his shots from, and that, you know.
I think I agree with you. I just think I think it's almost like Clarkson at this point. Like
Mhm.
we're gonna have to live with them. Um, I'll say this. I'll say why, because last year I thought he didn't take enough threes, but even last year, you know, a lot of those threes were those type of threes you're talking about. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like he hit a lot of them too. You know what I mean?
He did.
But
He did.
just watching the selection of them, I was like, oh, and then they go in. I'm like, oh, all right. So
Yeah.
I just think we gotta live with it. If especially if it's like me who wants him to take more attempts. I think to your point, like you said, by the end of the year, maybe he finds the right zone in which,
Right.
you know what I mean,
Yeah.
right areas of which to get him.
Yeah. Blue Hefner said, "Cat's the best big man 3-point shooter ever. Sim, let him shoot." I'm not saying don't shoot. All I'm saying is the shot selection. You know, sometimes it could be a little iffy. And I agree with Tony. You're gonna have to live with it because he's one of your best player, your second best player on the team. You know, yeah, let him shoot. Blue also said, "Cat's just whining. That's what he does." That's true. That's a whiny mug. You know what I'm saying? He is. He's a whiny dude. I guess the Public Enemy, 10 players against the Cavs, but Tibbs is so missed. We always had a bench. I don't understand what he's saying. What's he saying, Tony?
He's saying Tibbs should have played 10 and 11 players last year. We
Okay.
always had a bench, and
Mhm.
now they're being utilized, but they weren't in the past. I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have Yabusele, right? We didn't have who else played last night? Well, I mean, I guess we didn't have Jordan
We didn't
Clarkson
have Clarkson and Yabusele.
and Yabusele
Um, and
and
I
Mitch.
mean, I mean,
Mitch wasn't there for most of the season, so Josh Hart was a starter who might have been on the bench as well. And then of course Kolick played. So you know, and I know there's a lot of people that want to talk about that. that Kolek played last night and he did well. There we go. There's the public enemy. Look at all the minutes Kolek got. I don't think it's
I
a fair
mean,
comparison.
and it wasn't like a career high in minutes that he played. He's played that under Tibbs
He's played for them.
at times, and we're also down two rotational guys. So you got to assume that two guys were now. I don't know who, but two guys wasn't going to play if Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson were available.
Right.
You got to assume that, and you know what I mean. Like it may have still been 11 guys, but two guys would not have played.
Two guys wouldn't, because you're not playing 13. I doubt it, unless it's a mad blowout. And listen, if Kolek continues to play and he does well, there's going to be a lot of people that say C, 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 C. And my response to that is going to be, how do you know that last year didn't prepare him for this year? Right?
He had good spurts last year.
Yeah, he had a few good spurts last year. Yep, he played some minutes, had a few good spurts. But if he becomes a rotation player this year, you don't know how much last year played into it. So it's really hard to say. It could have not played anything at all, and he was ready to play last year, or the process helped him become the player that he is this year. You don't know. You just don't know.
I think both things could be true.
And both things could be true. But let's just hope that he has a good season this year if he plays. You know what I mean? Mobley a non-factor in the second half. Why can't Mitchell cook and feed Evan at the same time? Can't go away from that. I don't know if that's as easy as you think. You know what I'm saying? When you're being asked to score the basketball and then also feed your big man, I don't know if that's as easy as you think.
And like I said, he fed him, and he was playing great in the first half. I was down 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was down 15. What brought you back? Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
Like, now, to this gentleman's point, though, I think over time you do have to find that like that's gonna be that curve that you gotta find. You know what I mean? But it, like you said, it's not that easy. That comes over time, and you can't force feed one or the other. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna win with Donovan doing that for an entire game because he's gonna gas out. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna not. It's not sustainable. So you got to find that balance. You got to find a way. A better question would be, how does you get Mobley to play that well and not be down 15?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure they'll figure that out. Maybe. If he's good enough. Brandon 5566 says, surprise, no one did jack shit besides Mitchell. Go figure.
So he's not acknowledging Mobley's first half at all.
Yeah.
But or maybe he is and saying, hey, he played well where he was down 15.
Yeah. All right, let's use this one to spur us on into some Knicks talk before we get out of here. Alex Chemilsky said the Kolek guy is better than Brunson. Really? Come on.
Nice troll.
Yeah, nice troll. Real nice troll. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that Kolek didn't play well, but don't compare him to Jalen Brunson. He's not Jalen Brunson. But hopefully with Malcolm Brogdon not being there, we need another ball handler on this basketball team. We need a guy. I personally still have some concerns about the ball handling in the starting unit. Kolek is a decent ball handler. He's not breaking down the defense like that consistently. He's going to use, footwork and craftiness to get to the basket. But it would be a welcome addition to have another decision maker out there. And someone
I
who
think he's
is purely in his brain is wired to running a team. So we don't have that guy out there right now. He would be the only one that is purely, wired to run the basketball team. And I just think we sorely need one of those guys. And I know it's just his second year, so, the decisions that he would make as the guy running the team, maybe some people would question it, but he would learn,
Two things that I absolutely noticed with Kolek.
Mhm.
And because I was real hard on him in the summer league, right? Like I thought that was his opportunity to kind of show his worth.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one thing that is definitely for sure visible and noticeable to me is the better players that he's on the floor with,
Mhm.
the better he is. Like he's 10 times better when he's on the floor with true rotational players than trying to lead those the rest of them summer league guys around them. And he's not Jalen Brunson, but you can see the little things that he's picked up from Brunson. You saw a little bit last year. I think you saw a little bit last night. So yeah, I think he's getting better. He's definitely competitive, and he kind of has that bounce back mentality too. Like he has a bad showing, he comes
Mhm.
back and makes up for it the next time he gets the opportunity.
Yeah.
So I think he's year two is a big difference between year one and year two.
Or
You know what I mean? Even though it's a new coach, you know what I mean. But even if it was the same coach, I think you garner more trust year two than you do year one.
year one. Exactly. Let me get to a caller. Caller, you're live. Name me where you're from, please.
Yeah, Ron from Pittsburgh.
Ron, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
You have a nice off season, you guys?
Yes, sir. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. I know you guys are ready to go, so I'll keep it short. Yeah, I was very happy with what I saw last night. I really liked the defense that was played by OG and Bridges.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were constantly getting into things. I was seeing a kind of intensity on defense that I did not see most of last year. It's like they were just really on top, especially in the beginning of the game. They were just really on top of everybody. And I think that Spider Mitchell, I mean, if he goes off like he did, I mean, nobody can complain about defense at the 3-point line or anything like that. Because if it's gonna, if he's gonna go off, he's gonna go off. So it's ridiculous to talk. The only two things I wanted to bring up was, one thing was, what was your impression of Ubaselli and how he fits in exactly? I've seen him play some. I can't honestly say I've seen him play a lot. So it's a little bit more of a mystery to me. And as far as the Mitch situation goes, as it relates to his contract, because there's a lot of talk about that. He's happy, he's unhappy, somewhere in between. I think that part's going to work itself out. I mean, I think if, depending on whose decision it is, whether or not he can play, whatever happens this year, the reflection of this year is going to determine pretty much what he's worth.
Right.
And I don't think that the Knicks fans are going to have to worry about them investing a great deal of money in Mitch if Mitch isn't going to deserve that money. And Mitch knows that nobody else in the NBA, who certainly see what the Knicks are saying, are going to be comfortable in giving him a big contract anyway. So I think that he's pretty much, he knows what's at stake. And I'm not going to debate whether or not it's the coach that keeps him out or he's keeping himself out or who's managing the minutes. But I did want to get your impression of Ubaselli and how much of a contribution you think he could make this year.
I'm not sure about Yabusele right now because I expected him to play more than 13 minutes last night. Right. Surprisingly, he only played 13 minutes. I do think he's going to be a good 3-point threat for us. When we need some toughness inside, I think he can help bring some toughness on the inside. He should be able to help with the rebounding a little bit and even sometimes help advance the ball up the floor. But I was surprised at the little amount of minutes that he played last night. So I'm not sure yet how Mike Brown plans to use him with this team. I don't know. And, I think we'll know a lot more when he starts to. I don't think he's playing 11, 12 guys every night. You know what I mean? I think that, he will. I think right now in the beginning, there's still some guys trying out for rotation minutes. And once he settles in on a good 10, I think we'll see that 10 on most nights. And then on nights when someone is sitting out, we'll see a number 11, number 12. And then there may be some nights when, a couple guys just don't have it and he tries, some other guys. But I think there's going to be a good solid 10-man rotation. And then the other guys would be situational. So
were you surprised to see Jameson last night?
I was surprised to see him play last night. Played 7 minutes. I was definitely surprised, but I'm happy for him. He's a good, solid, serviceable big man. Mitchell Robinson was out, so Mike Brown he didn't want to mess with the starting unit too much, so you bring in Huck Porty, and you don't want to mess with the second unit too much, so you bring in Jemison. And I kind of think using Jemison points to Huck Porty playing a lot of backup minutes to Mitchell Robinson. I think it points to that. Because if not, why use Jemison? Right? To me, that says you wanted to keep the same style of rotation that you're going to have in the regular season. But going forward.
Not just why use Jameson, but why not use Yabusele, and that would have gave him the minutes that you expected to see him play, right? So exactly. you know what I mean? Like, so that's where those minutes went. Yeah. They went to Jameson. And Jameson's on a two-way, which means he's only allowed a certain amount of games on the squad, right? On the main squad. You just what I mean? You just knocked one out early. First game of the season. Like, that's very interesting.
Very. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it does point to Huck Porty playing. I don't know who that ices out, but it might point to Huck Porty playing. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about Yabusele yet and how he fits in. Yeah.
Well, okay, guys. I know it's late and everything, and I'm happy with what I've seen. I hope they can keep it up. When they put up the chart that had everybody's names and the amount of minutes that they played and the points that they scored, I thought, well, this is perfect. If it could consistently be those kind of minutes with those kind of results, but we know that's not going to happen. So, yeah, I agree. I think the coach should be, unfortunately, still doing a little bit of experimenting and seeing what he's got. And he said it in his press conference.
Right.
Basically, it's saying, look, I'm still trying. We're still all trying to, come up with the right combinations and figure things out. So, but still, that's a great win. That's a great way to start out the year.
Great way. Now we got to finish it off tomorrow. Finish the opening week off tomorrow with a win over Boston. That'd be beautiful.
And Hart is good. Well, let's see. Hart's got back spasms. He's been out for 3 weeks, more or less. He's got the knee issue. I know that means nothing, but he does.
And the finger.
And he's got that finger that's, I don't know, laying sideways or whatever on a shooting hand.
Yeah.
So as tough as he is, outside of rebounding and maybe hustling for loose balls or whatever, it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in.
Yeah.
In terms of a lot of minutes.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. No doubt. Ron, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for staying up with us.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and great seeing you guys.
You too, brother.
Thank you.
Peace. Good question here. Nelly Nell said, if Mike Brown goes with a 10-man rotation, who is situational?
Shamet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So first off, we're assuming everybody's back. Everybody's healthy.
Everybody's back.
So I think Kolek, because I do think, not saying Josh Hart will be a quintessential point guard, but I think the ball will go in his hands in that second unit. You know what I mean? And he'll be able to push the pace and play with pace the way Brown wants. And then it'll be more of a committee thing. So I would say that second unit will be Deuce, Clarkson, Hart, Yabusele, and Porty. And Shamet and Kolek would be the situational guys.
Okay.
It is interesting though that Shamet got in the game before Clarkson
and played more minutes. Well, I mean, the same amount, more seconds. Played more seconds.
So that is interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But I'll stand on that until I see more.
Yeah, but that definitely is interesting. Kolek played more than Clarkson last night, I think. I mean, they were all in 13 minutes, but I'm speaking seconds here. But
seconds, yeah.
It's going to be interesting. I'm very interested in that, in that little battle right there between Clarkson, Kolek, and Shamet, because obviously there's a battle between the three of who's going to be in that rotation.
I do have this question. I talked about Cat's comments about not knowing his role with the the 4 to 5 and 4 playing 1 2, knowing 1 2 4. And Yabusele's kind of in that same spot, right? As a guy, those are the two guys that are be playing the 4 and the 5, and under this offense have to know it all. Do you think there's something to that with Yabusele maybe not really looking like he was on his he was in the garden. It was game 1. Like even his run out, when they called his name in the very beginning before the game, he looked a little like shell shocked a little bit.
Yeah.
But do you think he was like pressing, or maybe like he's still trying to learn that offense under Mike Brown? Where I mean, he's been a 4 and a 5 in Philly last year. More of a 5 though, right? With Embiid out,
right?
He was more of a small ball 5 than playing the 4. Like,
yeah, I don't know if he's. I don't know. He said, "Do I think he's pressing?" I don't know. I think he's. I don't know. I think. I'm sure he'll loosen up, and maybe he is. Is at the Garden. There's a lot of hype around the basketball team. I'm sure he's seen his name in articles and on Twitter and Instagram, and Knicks fans talking about what he can do and all of those things. So maybe there's a little bit shell shock.
And you could almost say the same for Clarkston because you know what I mean. Both these guys were brought in to booster like one of our weakest points of
Right.
the team last year. So
Right.
both those guys were almost penciled in as all right. They're gonna be productive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
productive
Yeah.
parts of this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So where you know Shamit is he in the same situation as last year? You know what I mean? Like one could argue a even better situation because it's the beginning of the year. You know what I mean? Deuce is used to being in this situation. Like, is he the one? Is he the two? No, I'm just coming in and playing and you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing new for Deuce. Like,
Right.
but these guys are new to the team. They come with a little bit of I don't want to say pressure, but expectation to
Mm-hmm.
be productive, like automatic. No
Mm-hmm.
figure it out, learn. Like it was like, nah, we got Clarkson, that's 15 points. You know what I mean? Like we got Yabusele, that's 10, 11 points. Like it's almost penciled in without. So I think they'll find their way.
Yeah. Yeah. Dorcosaurus Rex said Clarkson and Yabusele do not provide NBA level defense. Tyler Kolek had a 96 defending rating in preseason. I'm not sure about that stat, but do you think their lack of defense is something that Mike Brown is concerned about?
Uh yes. Yes, but
Mhm.
that also goes back to all right, and now I want to go back and watch the game and see who they were on the floor with. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because that'll be that's what I was gonna say. If he is, then he's gonna have to put people with them around them, right? So now I want to go back and look to see who they were on the floor with in their limited minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I'm gonna go.
that you know what I mean that'll answer the question definitively
All
for
right.
me.
Yeah. I might go back and check out some of the games tonight too. JW said OG and McCall are the X factors to a championship. You believe that? To
I
me, I don't know if they're X factors. They are main factors to me. They are main factors.
essential, right?
Essential. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Deuce is an X factor. Maybe Clarkson is an X factor. You know what I mean? Because they add, if Deuce continues to have the type of season we think he can, and Clarkson can be that big boost off the bench, those are X factors to me. To me, those guys are essential for winning a championship. We don't win it without them, in my opinion. An X factor, you might win it still without the X factor. A guy that's essential, you probably don't win it without him. You know what I mean? I think
Our,
those two are essential.
our fifth starter is our X factor. That's where I'm going with it.
Okay.
Whoever is the fifth starter by playoff time, that's who's the X factor.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? If it ends up being Deuce by then, you know what I mean? If it ends up being Mitch, if it ends up like whoever that fifth starter is, that's gonna be our X factor. I think.
Yeah. Let me see what we get. Blue Hefner said, "Oh boy, he's talking about Thibodeau. Here goes Sim justifying that trash Thibodeau was doing. You know,
I don't
I'm
even
really
know what you said. What'd you
I'm,
say?
uh, talking about Kolek not playing much last year. Don't be surprised if Kolek doesn't play a lot this year, guys. That's not, we still do have to remember that Josh Hart was not playing. So that could have opened the door for him, as well as Shamit. So let's not forget that. Let's see what happens when we're fully healthy. Right? But I do want to say this. I'm only worried about Mike Brown right now, to be honest with you, and what Mike Brown is doing with this basketball team. But I'm not going to forget that Tom Thibodeau is the reason or at least a very, very big part of the reason that the New York Knicks are in this position today. And I don't think anyone else should forget that either, because he set the stage for what we believe can happen with this basketball team right now. He did. Like it or not, he did.
And you know what? If we win the championship, then Thibodeau will be our Mark Jackson
Yeah,
forever.
exactly. Forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tom Thibodeau set this stage. He set the stage and is a very, very big part of the reason that the Knicks are in this position. And you cannot deny that. Nobody can deny it. I'm sorry. You just can't deny it. It's true. Hopefully, Mike Brown can take us to the promised land. But Tom Thibodeau has his hands all over this basketball team. And took the team from 21 wins to the playoffs the following season with the same players. And then going forward, playoffs in 4 of the 5 seasons that he was here. Is that correct? Right? 4 to 5 seasons? Advanced to the second round. What was the stat last year? The only two other teams in the league over the past 3 years had advanced to the second round. And obviously the Knicks were one of those 3. Then obviously last year the Knicks advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals. And beat supposedly the best team in the East in the Boston Celtics. Can't erase that. Those things happened. Okay? We made a change. Hopefully it's for the better. Hopefully we are able to win a championship within Mike Brown's tenure. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think we should erase anything that, Thibodeau did. Like him or not, don't erase it. Give him the credit that he deserves. I guess I just leave it there. Know what else to say to that. Blue Hefner said Mitch already announced out as versus the Celtics load management.
I'm telling you, sounds fishy. Sounds fishy, Sam.
Sounds fishy. Oh no. How many preseason games did he play? Because I don't even remember him. It could have been in practice, or it could have been, something that started to flare up after a game. But how much? I didn't see anything happen in the preseason.
I know he didn't return in the second half of the last game he played. So I think he did he play the first game, the first preseason game? OG was out. He played,
out.
Right?
OG was out, yeah. Because
so I think he played the first 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't come back in the second half of the third game and hasn't played since.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I do remember him maybe twisting his ankle or something, but he played through it in that first half.
Okay. And maybe that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that's
he
what
played through it in that first half.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night the Knicks play the Boston Celtics. Hopefully we'll be doing another Losers Lounge. My expectations are that the Knicks are going to win. But you can't count these teams out because they lost stars. I mean, you look at the Indiana Pacers, took OKC to double overtime tonight without Tyrese Halliburton. Can't count them out. So, we got to come to ball, especially a rival team like that. Tony, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I was gonna say we're gonna get their best possible effort as well. Knowing they, you know what I mean? They got that sting from being bumped out the playoffs. You know what I mean? Just can't take it for granted. And they know they overlooked. You know what I mean? Everybody's saying the East is open because of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're gonna come out trying to The same way we wanted to beat Cleveland, they want to beat us.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully, I'm able to do a pregame. My pregames aren't going to be consistent because of, you all know last year, my business picked up. So, a lot of times I've got things I got to do during those hours, but I'll definitely be on a post-game show. If I can get a pregame show in, I'll get it in. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. Be peaceful. Catch y'all tomorrow. One.